GG, aka Gurk, here today to tell you about my PvE Solar Titan build. Today we are going to be using Path of the Burning Steps. They are exotic leg armor. Solar final blows periodically grant you an escalating bonus to weapon damage. You are harder to slow or freeze with stasis, and when you break out you take no damage, and you create a burst of solar energy around yourself. What these do is, as you're playing in the content, getting kills with a solar weapon, ability, anything, you are occasionally going to get Firewalker on your screen. This does stack. This just adds a passive bonus to any source of solar damage. Coming up here to our solar subclass. The first aspect is going to be Roaring Flames. Final blows with solar abilities or ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities, can stack up to 3 times. While this is active, your uncharged melee attack deals solar damage and scorches targets. The second aspect is Soul Invictus. Solar ability final blows, Hammer of Soul impacts, and defeating scorched targets create sunspots. When in a sunspot, your abilities will generate faster, and your super will drain slower. Sunspots apply Scorch and deal damage to targets inside of them, and entering a sunspot will apply Restoration. Our 4 fragments, the first one we have Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. Our second one is Ember of Char. Your solar ignitions spread Scorch to effective targets. You get also passive 10 discipline from this. Ember of Solace. Radiant and Restoration effects applied to you have increased duration. And Ember of Eruption. Your solar ignitions have increased area of effect. You then get also passive 10 strength. So what these are going to do is really buff your ignitions and your Scorch. It's going to allow you to become Radiant, which is going to give you another damage boost on top of your exotic. And it's going to allow your abilities to ramp themselves up damage-wise and as far as recharge time goes. Up here I use Solar Grenade, personal preference. You've got your hammer or your shoulder charge. I've used both. I prefer the hammer. Generally I actually will prefer high lift, again, personal preference. And then I use Rally Barricade. It does increase weapon reload, stability, and range. And I find it's easier to not block your teammates' shots or abilities while using this. Next, we're going to cover our armor. So we go over to the helm. You're going to want to rock 100 resilience, no matter what kind of content you're running. After I got that to 100, I then focused on recovery. We do have the passive 10 in discipline and in strength coming from our subclass. So besides mobility, I have managed to get everything at least to 50. Over here on the helmet, you're going to want to throw on a resilience mod, and then I run double ashes to assets. This is going to allow you to get your super quicker, which your super is again causing Scorch and ignitions, by allowing you to get super energy from grenade kills. Go to the arms, another resilience mod, and now we have bolstering detonation. What this does is it grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. Again, kind of a grenade focused build. We also are running elemental ordnance, where if you defeat a combatant with a grenade, it spawns an elemental well, preferably a solar one. So you're going to be getting super energy from grenades, you're going to be getting class ability from grenades, and you're also going to be creating elemental wells from your grenades. We come down to the chest. This, I believe, was the last resilience mod needed to get to 100. Depending on what armor you're running, it might be different as far as your stats. I run Concussive Dampener. There's a lot of enemies that have AoE damage regardless of the archetype of that damage. It be Arc, Solar, Stasis, Void. It just helps keep you alive. Survivability and high-end content is the name of the game. Thermoshock plating. The past few seasons, we've had different combinations of what kind of damage it's going to reduce. This season, there were a lot of arc and a lot of solar, especially with Hive, so this is really good. It could change from season to season. You can always throw in a melee or a sniper resist, depending on what you want. And then I threw on Font of Might. This stacks with Radiant and the exotic. You pick up a solar well, you deal more damage with a solar weapon. Pretty straightforward. Come down to the exotic legs. Yeah, this was where we started throwing on recovery mods. And then in a melee well maker, you're going to be throwing your hammer to become Radiant a lot. You just run, pick it up, and then you have a full melee charge. The hammer itself does deal pretty good damage. Sol Invictus is going to stack, it's going to deal more damage. It's just a pretty repeatable process. Finally, you come down to your mark. Another recovery mod. Distribution reduces all ability cooldowns when using a class ability near targets. So when you throw your barricade down, it's going to reduce all ability cooldowns. Utility Kickstart does the same, but only for the barricade. So when you fully expand your barricade by placing it, you will get class ability energy back, boosting that recharge rate. And then finally, Elemental Time Dilation. This is pretty much at the center of every elemental well build. So any well mod that would grant you a time-limited benefit is now increased that duration from this mod. And you can stack this. I usually only run one. I believe it takes it from 10 seconds to 12 or 13 seconds. So no matter what, it is helpful in mid, easy, endgame content. As far as weapons go, you can run whatever. I like Witherhoard a lot for ad control and zone control. A fusion rifle is good for majors. Again, personal preference, but you will have to run at least one weapon with incandescent. Defeating a target spreads a longer lasting scorch to those nearby. More powerful combatants and opposing guardians cause scorch in larger radius. So when you are hitting them, it will apply scorch. Killing them applies more, and it also creates ignition. This is again what we were trying to help with our fragments, increasing the size of the ignition, and the Path of the Burning Steps will increase or decrease how long it takes to get an ignition to happen. The Firewalker is going to proc, boost your damage. Font of Might is going to proc when you pick up a well, boost your damage. I have Explosive Payload, that's going to proc. Radiant is going to proc. You have all these things coming together to allow you to kill ads quicker and cause more scorch and more ignitions. The minor spec as well deals a little bit more damage to low red bar enemies. As far as a heavy, I love Hothead. Reed's Regret, I've got two good ones. A solar weapon would be good. Firewalker will boost it. In-game content, you're going to want to be able to cover multiple shields. So that is, again, personal preference. I had to break out the solar shell for the video. I like to have a nice consistent feeling with my Guardian's looks. It's also why I had to break out the Radiant Breaker Helm. This was the whole ornament set, I believe, was from last season when Solar 3.0 came out, and then I was lucky enough to purchase these Phoretic Footfalls for Bright Dust. I think in general it's a very clean aesthetic. I've got Wings of the Firebird, great ship. Carbon Blood is probably one of my favorite shaders in the whole game. I think it just comes together to really create a nice, clean look. But yeah, that is my build for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you use this build and if it has helped you or if it makes content easier for you. And I will catch you guys again.